And a live picture there at the White House as well. Plenty of top headlines to get to here on Live Now from Fox. And let's turn our attention right now to coverage of the United States-Mexico border and President Trump's crackdown on drug cartels, the topic already causing issues between the two countries. President Trump has directed the Pentagon to target cartels as terrorist organization, but Mexico's president is pushing back, and they are not the only one. These are some video from inside of obviously the politics in the legislature there in Mexico as lawmakers Alejandro Moreno, the leader of the opposition PRI party, went to the podium as Wednesday's session ended and angrily confronted the Senate president there, Gerardo Fernandez Noroña, the ruling of this Morena party, for not being given the floor. So obviously this coming into our newsroom, you can see some dynamic moments there here on Live Now from Fox. And before we get to that, let's be joined right now by Ilan Katz, the Mexico City-based attorney. Thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox, and obviously talking about the sensitive nature of the United States and Mexico, the Pentagon targeting cartels at terrorist organizations. What can you tell us? What's the latest on that? What's the feeling there in Mexico?
Thanks a lot for this space, Annie, and warm hello to all your viewers. Well, we have seen a very serious compromise from the Mexican government to collaborate with the American government during the current presidency of President Claudia Sheinbaum. She has done an outstanding job of cracking down on cartels, working with the United States, deporting serious bad guys who have been in prison in Mexico. We've deported more than 40 capo leaders. We've done, Mexico's done a wonderful effort to get things done, but there will always be the feeling that it's not enough. And Mexicans do feel that we need to step up our efforts. There is a lot of frustration due to violence and drug violence, especially directed at the government, even though I truly do believe that the government has been doing their best efforts, and we have seen the best results in ages.
And of course, the president there of Mexico has said there won't be an invasion of sorts in terms of an influx of the United States helping out in terms of these cartels. But what would it look like? Is there concern from the president about that at all?
I think that is an issue that has a lot more to do with speech, rhetoric, with politics. In essence, we have to understand that there is a very important collaboration between the United States and Mexico, and that's not going to stop. America needs the help of Mexico to stop the flow of fentanyl and migrants to the United States. And of course, Mexico is glad to have the help from Americans, but the language is where things become very, very, very stressful, where there is an interpretation that when Lili Tellez, who was part of the problem yesterday, the Mexican senator, speaks about this on Fox News as she did, there is this misinterpretation that we want the U.S. Army to come into Mexico to help us fight cartels. That is not what we're looking for. We're looking for lawful collaboration to stop the flow of drugs and violence, stop the violence in Mexico.
And can we get into some of those legalities, because the two legal systems very different? How did the United States legal actions involving cartels impact the politics in Mexico? Because we have seen the co-founder of the Sinaloan cartel get sentenced after being extradited to the United States. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, it depends on what you're speaking about. If you're speaking about the recent developments where Ismael Mayo Zambada was pled guilty in the last couple of days, well, he did not get extradited to the United States. He was kidnapped by El Chapo's sons and taken to the United States, and obviously looking at his dire situation, he decided to plead guilty and try to get any benefits he could out of that deal, especially avoiding the death penalty. The case with El Chapo, which is a case that had been that's been going on for a long time now. This is old news. He was extradited, and he has been put in prison, and it was a lengthy trial, and he was found guilty. So these two are very, very big wins for the United States, but they're also very big wins for Mexico, because having bad guys in prison is good for all of us.
And that's very interesting. There's so many different layers to this, and a lot of, like you mentioned, also the rhetoric around this or what they're saying. I want to ask you, though, about the video I played off the top, just as we change subject a little bit, talking about this shoving match there in the legislature. Who are these individuals? Because obviously, people in the United States may not be paying attention very closely to that what's taking place in Mexico. Who are these two individuals, and why are they important?
Well, first of all, it's a very entertaining, but obviously a deplorable conduct within our Senate or within our Congress. The individual doing the shoving is a guy known as Alito. His name is Alejandro Moreno, and he is the president of the PRI party, which used to be the biggest or the most important party in the country. It's been eroded and depleted through a bunch of defections and losses in electoral matches in the past. But he is the president of one of the major opposing parties still. The person who is being shoved around is Gerardo Fernández Noroña, who was or will be until the 31st the president of the Senate. Now, it's important to make a distinction. He is a member of the Morena party, which is the ruling party, but when he's up there, he is the president of the Senate. And as the president of the Senate, he is supposed to be impartial in order to conduct the ordering and the coordinating of the Senate proceedings.
And I just want to ask you, you mentioned just this ordeal is going to get a lot of attention just because of the visuals of what we see there. Is it not going to escalate beyond? Is this basically the end of this, at least in terms of the physical nature of it?
Oh, absolutely not. Alejandro Moreno, Alito, the PRI president who started the shoving match, is in the middle of an impeachment proceeding that's been going on for a long time. He has had a number of investigations regarding corruption and the inexplicable or his inexplicable wealth. That is the accusation in itself. So I think that this is going to probably have a political impact on those impeachment proceedings, because regardless of how things matured or eroded to this point, it is obviously unprecedented and very, very frowned upon that this would be the end of a Senate proceeding.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. This is really the first vantage point that we see of this, and obviously this taking place there in the Senate. Is there anything else we need to be paying attention to? Anything else in terms of what comes next in terms of this altercation, but also the relationship between the United States and Mexico?
Well, the United States and Mexico are the greatest trading partnership in the history of the world. I often say that we're not really neighbors. We're more like lovers. So we have to bear with each other. We have to look at each other in a positive light. We are going to see many, many changes, but Claudia Sheinbaum is doing her utmost best to have a productive relationship with the United States. And I think she's doing her best.
All right, very good. And do you think the pressure will ramp up at all? Is there concerns over that from President Trump about what's going on with cartels? There's a crackdown on crime. We've seen the National Guard be deployed in our nation's capital here in Washington, D.C. Do you think the pressure will be heightened at all?
I think pressure is at the most now, and I think it's yielding the best results. We do, as I said before, have unprecedented collaboration between the United States and Mexico. We are seeing the best results in drug enforcement. We are seeing best results in fighting violence. So I don't think there will be a necessity to do anything else than what we have been doing and keep the ball rolling, continue in this fashion.
All right, very good, Ilan Katz. Thank you so much for joining us here on Live and Now from Fox. I appreciate your insight, a very unique story, to say the least.
Thank you very much.